Preparing to live stream the meeting. Yes, got it. Setting up your meeting for YouTube Live.
I've never seen this, so this is great.
Yeah, while video unavailable, this video is private. That's a lie. That is very much a lie. What's going on?
I see that we are streaming.
You see that we are streaming?
Yeah, it does. At least on my end, it says live on YouTube.
I am so glad, because what it is showing me on my end is not. And, oh, but it is showing me that it is on. Okay, great. So we're going to say that my computer is being weird because I have too many accounts, and I do in fact see that it is working here. So I'm going to mute myself here temporarily so that we don't get any awful feedback, so I can make sure that what is coming through here actually has good sound. And
yeah. And hopefully we'll get some good people in the chat letting us know and stuff.
Sound is coming through beautifully. Je t'adore. Hello, everybody. Whether you are, ooh, and the winds are saying hello too. I love it. Everybody apparently wants to wish you, Jaymi, a happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yay.
I'm so excited we do. Why don't you share part of your birthday with us?
Well, totally. Of course. I mean, why wouldn't I want to chat with peeps?
I mean, you know, like you could be wanting to go out for brunch or stay in bed or, you know, all the other ways that we celebrate our birthdays.
I have a 1.5-year-old, you know, kittens, ragdoll kittens, and usually they don't let me sleep in past 9 these days. But I don't know. I always like, I could sleep all day if I had the power to. So I'm like, I always set the alarm and try and get up around 8 in the morning. That's typically, you know, what I promise myself. But of course, sometimes I'll hit that button and then just sleep in a little more.
Absolutely. I realized I forgot to turn the captions on. So, okay, captions are now on. So hopefully any of our people who are watching live will also.
Yes. Yeah, hearing impaired.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like it is coming through. So, hello. To all of the people who are listening live or tuning in and watching this video later on down the line, you are so welcome on Group Tarot's YouTube channel. And I am so excited to be chatting with Jaymi Elford about her fantastic book, Tarot Inspired Life, which she will sadly be the only one who is showing its beautifulness, because either the fairies in my house decided that they just want to hide it from me, or I loaned it to someone because I loved it so much and I have yet to receive it back. I'm not sure which. But yes, my physical copy is hiding, and so I have an e-copy, which doesn't do the same. Lovely.
We can fix it in post, right? You can fix it in post. You could just put your hands up and pretend that you have it, and then, you know, edit this again or something, and then, you know,
if I ever, when the day comes that I shift out of just doing lives and going into the editing realm, yes, absolutely.
I know it's so much easier doing lives because it's just there no matter what, and you cut it, you do your, you know, blessings, you sacrifice the goats and the chickens or the, you know, flowers or, you know, whatever, and you just pray that you don't say something stupid, which for me is kind of hard, but that's why I love these things, because you never know what's coming out and what we're going to say. So
it's true. It's true. It's true. And so if you have questions, feel free to post them into the chat, and we will absolutely weave those into the conversation today. If you are a part of my Patreon, you had a chance, or Group Tarot's mailing list, you had a chance to submit questions already. And I know, right?
I'm over here going like, bring it. I hope I hope there's a couple of interesting things that we can, I can help out.
So one of the interesting things one of the interesting questions that came up is one that I'm not quite sure whether or not to like jump in with this one or lead with one that I wanted. So I am going to go to tarot for this, and and I have two different decks that I just grabbed randomly from, and my left hand is to just jump in with the bolder, not necessarily controversial question, but one that is very heated, and in my right hand is to temper things first. And so for just jumping right in, we are given the King of Cups inverted, and for having the gentle lead in, we are giving the Six of Pentacles right side up. So I am going for the gentle lead in, no doubt. Other authors that I have chatted with have had sections of their book that had to be edited out, chapters removed for whatever reasons, or things that they were like, oh, I wish I had added this in, but I didn't know that at the time, or et cetera, et cetera. Is there anything like that in Tarot Inspired Life? Were there chapters that you just had to edit out for whatever reasons, but really have some juicy morsels that you want to get out into the world? Or are there things that you have learned now that you're like, oh, how would I have loved to have known this then, to have woven it in?
Oh yeah, there's always going to be that stuff, because tarot is a language. So, it's marching through, and then if you're truly in love with the language, you want to know more and more about it, especially with a tool that we can use as well. So heck yeah, there's stuff that I had to remove, and this is stuff that even before the publisher Llewellyn caught and stuff. I wasn't sure how long the book draft needed to be to get in. I initially wrote Tarot Inspired Life as a NaNoWriMo. So there's a thing that goes on every November called NaNoWriMo, and it's National Novel Writing Month. And I did it for 12 years straight through. This was, I think, 2011's attempt, and it's basically a self-competition, although a lot of people around the world do it. But the goal is to get from, Once Upon a Time to the end in 50,000 words. And it's all about quantity, not quality. To me, that is the cornerstone of kind of a writing practice. I've known writers that are like, I'm writing the American novel, and I've got 5,000 words on this in 5 years, because I have to, I look at what I'm writing and I read it and I get it in my mind, and then I have to ponder it, and then maybe I'll write a sentence or two. And I'm like, you're never going to get your idea out. You're going to forget that idea if you write that way. So and this is my philosophy on art in general. Like, I'm not a great artist like my friend Jaymi Sawyer. She's amazing with both handwritten, or hand designed art, papercraft, and she makes great, beautiful decks and the tarot tiles that you kind of see back here in these little bags.
I love her tarot tiles as an aside. I also love them. Yes.
I have she made a copy of the Triple Goddess Tarot for me, and as you see, the kitties enjoy the bags. But so I've got that in here. But again, going back to that messiness, you need to be able to get something out, and it's never going to be perfect. Even when you pontificate and think it's perfect, it's not going to happen. So I write messy. My first drafts are just getting everything in there, and 50,000 words, while it might meet, an ideal for a Llewellyn title, I was told beef it up to 6,000 or 60,000, but I overwrote, because when I worked on that next draft, I went 70,000. So when I was told aim for 60, I went, okay. So I had my third draft was cutting things out. So yeah, originally I wanted to have a game section in there, since tarot was actually a game that people played in Italy, tarocchi, where trick-taking game and everything. And I really wanted to kind of expand upon that, because one of my favorite things to do when I'm not living a life of tarot stuff, like collecting, reading, writing, life is D&D and other things. I do game, and I do love card games, and I love trying, like back in the day when, oh my God, Magic the Gathering, I was there when it came out. That tells you kind of how old I am. 49. Yeah, oh my God. Oh God. Yep. 49 years old. And I wanted to make a combined playable Magic deck and tarot deck. So everybody's making these 10 card, I'm going to slaughter you in 2 fucking rounds. And I'm like, here's my 78 card deck, and I'm trying to make a divination thing out of it. And of course I'd never play with, my friends that way, but yeah. So the big thing I wanted in there, I had to remove was games, because while it is part of that philosophy of, wanting to drag your tarot collection with you everywhere you go, which is kind of, inspired by Mary's, Tarot for Yourself. She had so much in there that I just ran. I have never finished her book. I've gotten up to maybe chapter 9, and I just dropped off and created all these experiments. And then that became what this turned into. Yes. But yeah, so the games is, something now that's a separate eventual project, I think. I have plans for that.
I love that. I love that. And there's part of me that wants to schedule another one of these YouTube lives with you to talk about games. Simply because light tangent. When the last time I went to France to perform in the Avignon Off Festival, one of the shows that I was doing there was the Tarot show. And so, and one of my friends within the reclaiming community, because I think I must have gone to Reclaiming Beltane beforehand, or maybe Summer Solstice, but usually Portland Reclaiming does the cross quarters, especially then, because this was summer of 2019. And one of my friends was like, so in France, at least parts of France anyway, they still play tarocchi, or the French equivalent of it. And it's something that you just sort of have to happen into by finding the right people who will be like,
yep,
like sort of thing. And I was not successful in finding that. I was also there for a very short amount of time, so didn't really get to go to some of the places that from my first time there, I was like, ooh, I should probably maybe there. So maybe have an adventure in France.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe. I've never been. I love your face. No. Okay. So I've been into Canada. Not just Vancouver. I live in Portland, Oregon. So it's like, everybody's like, okay, yeah, Vancouver, right? No, I've visited Calgary, and that was a hoot. That's like, I'm from Denver, Colorado. So being in Calgary was like, wow, there's no distance there. They're very much they're like, I don't know if Canada has a Midwest, they're Midwest to me, I
love that.
Yeah, and I've got friends in Toronto. I haven't visited there yet, but that was something on my list pre-pandemic that I wanted to do. I wanted to go and visit my friends in Toronto and maybe teach tarot up there, or do some of the classes from the book. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. and that got out of the window. But a couple of our my friends online on Facebook, we were talking about, like, again, gaming with tarot, and Gavin Pooh, who is from England, he found this game, this like battle game, like, again, like Magic the Gathering, where you lay down critters. You are the magician, and you've got all these spells and critters and land that you can pull mana from to play this game, and you battle the other opponent or opponents, because you can actually, I played a 12-person Magic game, and that's hysterically chaotic. But yeah, you can do all this. Yeah, I think I bailed out, I'm out, type of thing. But
Sure.
yeah, so somebody created rules to do this with a tarot deck. So it's one deck between you two. And I've got the rules. The rules were free. I'll send you a copy. And I think, because he's coming to Portland for the Northwest Tarot Symposium at the end of September this year. And I think we're going to try and see if we can gang up and maybe play it or something, because we're, in that gamer culture, or at least in my filthy casual gamer culture, we enjoy stuff like that. I enjoy trying to find fun ways, again, to bring tarot back into my world. And the first thing I did with a deck, and it ties back into the book, was learn how to use it for creative writing. So it became the basis for the chapter of Inspiring the Muse, which is chapter 5. And I teach how to create characters, plot points, which are the visual, activities that your characters do, settings, and then how to use it as a creativity coach.
I so love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just naturally fit into that for me as the writer person. And then it expanded out into wanting to dress my decks, or the tiles, and customize things, where I taught myself how to crochet, just to make my own like tuck bags and stuff, and I used to sell them.
I am also a hooker, and I had never, like, I've been crocheting for so long, and like, I'm not very good. I do like hats and scarves and afghans and
the quick stuff
like that. Yep, exactly. And hello, David. Thank you for joining.
Hello, everybody. I don't see the chat, so hi, everybody. Coming in.
And it was your book and that chapter that was like, why haven't I made a crochet case for any of my decks? And so I promptly went through my spare yarn. I should have brought that out with me. It'll have to, I'll take pictures of it and upload it on socials and things later.
Page 117 is where the crochet case, but it's like,
and so I crocheted myself a purple sparkly bag to house my Shakespeare Oracle, which is actually a tarot deck, but it's called an Oracle deck, which is one of those things that has always like annoyed me just a little bit with that particular deck. But
just call it what we know it, right? We're just call it like we know it. It's a tarot deck. If it's got 78 cards, a major, or 22 majors, minors with 4 different court families, to me it's a tarot. But so I expanded.
I think they said Oracle because of the Shakespeare quotes that go along with it. Like if you only use it for the Shakespeare quotes, you could use it as an oracle as well, but it's within a tarot structure. And it was printed by Llewellyn like a while.
It's one of the Llewellyn ones.
Yeah, it's not so, because I know and I have 2 different Shakespeare decks, and this was a Llewellyn one that I want to say came out in like 98. Ooh. Like big black cards. Like, it is apparently worth a fair amount of money. Now, much to my surprise, I was like, hey mom, the deck that you got me for like $28 for Yule many years ago, it's gone up in value.
It's amazing to see what like the trends and what you see on, I was going to say Etsy, but occasionally Etsy, but mostly eBay or, some of the other sites of just how much, people will, do to either complete the whole in their collection or,
Yeah,
find that one that got away.
totally. So you also have a deck that you created,
Mhm,
and did you, and you've been a writer for so
mhm.
long.
Oh, God.
Like, was there ever a time where you were like, I want to write the book first, but I should do the deck first? Or did you always know that you wanted to do the deck first and then write the book? Or did it just sort of unflow? How did that creative evolution happen?
Well, that came first. That came before writing the actual Llewellyn book, Tarot Inspired Life. I'm not sure exactly. I think maybe it was Barbara Moore because we've been friends for over 10 years now or something. I adore her. She's a great person.
Great.
Awesome author, really kind as far as for an acquisitions editor. If you want to get your stuff in,
Yeah.
she will, I mean, she's your champion. She will take your stuff, lead you through the process and guide you if you've never done it. And it's been great. Plus I've sat down with her and just talked to her about the process because this book kind of did something different than normal stuff. So it was in 2017, 2016. I got an email from Riccardo Minetti, who is from Lo Scarabeo, the Italian, the Italian Llewellyn, but their own system. So Llewellyn distributes their work in the States or I think North America as well. But I got this email saying that they needed a kind of a 2-week quick turnaround for the Thelema tarot. And when I say Thelema,
Mhm.
I'm not talking about Crowley's version of magic or his, his religion. This was a artist that created a world called Thelema.
Hmm.
So that's been kind of a misnomer with people where they think it's going to be a thelemic deck and it's not. It's the
Mm.
name of the world. Renata Lechner is the one who designed the cards, and she and I have worked on all 4 of her decks. She's done 3 tarots. One of them is a Thoth based deck, and she did a Lenormand, the Lenormand, and I worked on. She liked me enough that I guess she wanted me to work on all of it. So I kind of got stuck there. But um, when you're writing for like Lo Scarabeo, it's a work for hire thing. So they sometimes will occasionally give you all the cards. If you're lucky, you get to see all of them and maybe some notes on why the artist did what they did or kind of their thoughts maybe on the world that you want to put that they envision for the deck. Sometimes you don't. You
Mm.
get crazy. Like when I did the panda tarot, I was like, oh, anthropomorphic pandas. Hey, and I even wrote a blog post saying that pandas were the ones that started tarot. And I go through the entire process of how, pandas
I
are
love it.
actually the owners of tarot, not, Italy, not, anything else.
Hey,
But
since paper, as you talk about in your book, since paper originated in China
yep.
and Chinese created all of the first playing cards, like
Mhm.
I'm right, I can go right there with you that pandas are the originators of the tarot.
Because
Like
bamboo, paper can
bamboo,
be, yep, bamboo. They eat
absolutely.
bamboo. They chew on it. Some falls out. They put their paw on the paper and somebody picks up and goes, it's an oracle all of a sudden. And then we have tarot. So yeah, that's, the joke behind that one. But yeah, so you get a spec like Lo Scarabeo works in character counts. Most United States, companies will say we want 60,000 words or something.
Mhm,
Characters including spaces. So that's like you type an A space, that's 2 characters.
mhm,
So they'll say like we need 10,000 characters, total. This is a small book like the Panda Tarot. They didn't want to waste a whole lot of money on words and stuff.
yeah.
On up to 60,000 for one of their top box pull-offs, like the
Mhm.
Thelemic deck. And I worked on that for 2 days. And then I sent it to Barb, I believe, to have just to kind of look over because way long ago she taught a class on how to write a little white booklet or an LWB, as a lot of us call it in the world. And this was at Bats back in the day, the Bay Area Tarot Symposium, which is kind of the grandmother to the Northwest one. And she looked it over, said it looked great. And I sent it in the form, like in a Word doc to them. They wanted a long form, which is that full, and then they wanted a shorter text that is translatable. So that's how they do their translations, is they, English gets the big billing and then the translations get the smaller. And then I guess they, well, number one, I could prove that I could write. I could prove I can hit a deadline, a quick one. And so they started reaching out on occasion. And at one point, I think it was 2017 or 2018. I can't remember. I've done over 20 books for them. But like 4 or 5 into it, Ricardo's like, we have a deck called the Triple Goddess, and we want to see what you can do with that. And I am not Celtic. I am more agnostic. If you have to say a god, if I have a god or a goddess right now, it's Lilith. She adopted me, but not in the sense of the Judaic or the Babylonian. This is the self-made Lilith, the one that kind of, came because she's here. A lot of people are like, she's not a real god or a goddess. And I'm like, bullshit. Popular culture says otherwise, so, the more power you give to something, the greater it rises. Right? So Lilith to me is a self-made goddess. And so, empathic, and all that stuff. So I know very little about, again, I think they wanted a more Celtic version, of the Triple Goddess. But I know many systems that use that maiden mother crone in their cultures. And I'm like, I wanted it to be agnostic. I wanted to be kind of stripped away from any, one religion or, viewpoint. So I had Lilith go and talk to the ladies, is how I, 5 months later, I had the entire majors, which is not what you want to do to somebody who wants it, quick. They want things fast. But I just didn't know what to do. I was just like, what do I do? And then I was going to bed and, pop, the inspiration came, literally hand wrote, jotted notes before I went to bed. And the next day had all the majors, and I sent that off to Ricardo. But it wasn't just like, here's the meanings of it. It was description. I did art description for that, where it's like, we have, like, to use the, one of my favorite cards in the majors, the High Priestess. We have a Asian woman sitting on a pillow meditating, but, usually the artistic camera is right in the face. I wanted it shining down from like the goddess perspective. So instead of it, you see the person, like, first, FPS, first person type thing, it's from a different perspective. So I would talk in some of the cards where I wanted the perspective to, look down. And I also gave Franco Ravelli, who was wonderful to work with, I gave him agency in the deck too, because when I create things or have others, do it, it's not just me. I always see things as kind of a co-creation. Because, I see too many people that talk about decks and they only talk about the author, not, the illustrator. So I'm trying to, get better at stating author and artist in there, because they, he took these weird ramblings of the mad woman, this one, and made these beautiful images. Like, let me just point one at random. First card pull of the day. Ooh, we have the Tower card. So this is a crone card. And I didn't want,
it looks like she's sliding down a mountain.
Kind of. She has, remember those ads, I've fallen and I can't get up?
Yes, I do.
And that was kind of the thing I wanted. I wanted that, in a crone situation, for a tower, I'm like, it's not going to be that lightning bolt or that crash. It's going to be something as simple as, shit, I've fallen. I need help. I can't get up. And then I have a black cat there because, number one, it contrasted really well on this card. And number two, that's the last thing you're going to want to help you if you've fallen down. That cat is just going to sit down on you, on your back, or lay down next to you. It's just it's like, it's going to wait for you to get up and give it food. Yeah, you're gonna want like, one of the collies or something, your assist dog, to go off and go find somebody, because that's what they would do. The cat's just gonna be like,
call 911.
Yeah. I mean, this beast isn't. So I also wanted like the imagery to be kind of timeless. So it looks, a little modern here, but it could also, suggest a different time period, whether it's, medieval, fantastical, or, maybe the future. We don't know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's how I did that deck.
Love that.
But going back to your right,
please.
Going back to your writing versus art, it's a little bit of both because, at least for me, I'm the writer. So I want to write the, kind of get the image in my head, write those descriptions, and then let the artist do it. And yes, I am working with Lon directly right now for a proposal for a new deck from them with me. No artist yet because their process is different. They have you write a proposal and give you like 3 to 5 cards in that proposal that they then send out to different artists in their pool. I might have some agency around picking, but you can't. That's part of the, thing that you do when you're in traditional publishing. You have to give up some creative controls, titles, cover art, ownership of the copyright until they decide to revert it back to you. For deck creation, I could, suggest people that might share the same vision or artistic theme that I might have. But really, it's whoever they think is best and whoever has that time to, build that deck, because it can take 3 to 5 years, or 3 to 5 years possibly to get that going, depending on how fast, my lazy butt can get the proposal into to getting it out to everyone. But I'm excited for it. It's going to be a little different. And going back to your other question, what I would do differently, if you look at the 20 books of booklets I've done in tarot, it shows that transformation of my journey through what I would do differently. With TIL, Tarot Inspired Life, I didn't want to put in meanings because I wanted the idea of you to create your own meanings.
I really appreciated that. And the other people I know who have read the book have also really appreciated that, because especially right now, there seems to be this, like, I don't want to say rift, but I feel like there is this new generation of tarot readers coming into the world who only come from intuitive places, which both has a place of power and has a place of danger if you are not looking at your biases and prejudices and such really well and clearly. And one of the things that I loved about your book was that while you give such agency and permission for new readers to absolutely follow your intuition and to keep all of the notes and to think about how your correspondences with color are similar or different to other ones, there is that comparison there of your way is not the only way, their way is not the only way. We all together have created and co-created on the backs of Italian illustrators from the 1400s and bamboo chewing pandas in China. Like, we have all built upon this legacy and egregore that is now tarot. And I love how you give credit to all of the sources at the end of the chapters, rather than just at the bibliography at the end of the book, because I am the daughter of a librarian. So especially when I am going to a book, one of the first things I do is I flip all the way to the back. And if it does not have a good index or a good bibliography, I'm like, okay, no, I have no desire to do this because I do not know where this other person is pulling their research from. So when I later found out that, especially for some New Age and modern publishers, they don't want to print the bibliography,
Yeah. Well, oh God, it's crazy. I've got, like, we can talk a lot about that. Yeah. I mean, I'm a voracious reader. I was reading adult fiction books at 3rd grade. So it's like, I used to, eat them and spit them out. What you see back here is most of my tarot collection on print. I've been also trying to find right sizing in books and decks and stuff in my life, partially because I'm getting in that old woman walker stage, but also my allergies. I have bad dust allergies. So I found that once the e-reader came out, it was a great companion for me to remove a lot of the book babies, so I only keep my chosen, but my tarot ebook collection is hundreds, thousands. I don't even know how many I've got actually, but yeah, I like to know the provenance and stuff. And I also love that you called tarot as an egregore. For those that don't know what that is, that's like a spiritual critter that comes to being through thought. It's a thought form existing entity. And while I up front said that tarot is a language, I also like this idea that yes, tarot is this critter of mess. I mean, for our community, it's massive, it's big. For the world, it might be like the small little dragon that sits on your shoulder, because I always like the little fairy dragons in D&D. But I love it is
the cute little garden dragons,
yes,
Field Guide to Garden Dragons.
Oh God, yeah. Arwen's amazing. Deck. Love her writing. And I mean, again, like on the Tarot Inspired website, I try and list more books and stuff that's come out. Like I didn't read Arwen's writing book when my book came out, because that came out after. So there's all this new writing stuff. So like if my classes from the book, each chapter or a lot of the books have like small sections that are those hour-long classes that I taught at symposiums. And when I teach them and I have the handouts, I basically write little workbooks, 8 to 10 page workbooks for people to do. I always update with new information. Like there are like 5 to 10 different tarot writing books out now.
Yeah.
Score, which is better than some of the stuff that we had, and so yeah, knowing that history, knowing where you can look back. Plus one of my favorite beginner like instructional books on tarot was Tarot 101. Great book with the most unfortunate name. Like I was reviewing that for Witches and Pagans magazine because the person that was corralling us reviewers sent me a box down and the book wasn't there, but the one sheet was. I'm like, to my friend Phil, where is this? And he said, I figured the world didn't need to read another Tarot 101 book. So I actually sought it out, bought it, read it, and said, you're wrong. The world needs to know this, because it doesn't go like, this is the Fool to this is the King of Pentacles. It grouped it by themes.
Ooh.
Like seasons or like people themes or learning themes. So for the majors, that was huge back then. It wasn't a like I said, an A to Z of tarot. It was, here's ways that you can learn it thematically. And at the end of each one of those chapters, they would have like suggested reading. And I'm like, I really wanted to do that with this book. I wanted to make it kind of a workbook, for beginners, read it straight through. Or for the experts, again, bibliomancy, flip open something, read the section, It also works great, again, for self-learners. If you're a self-learner, you might find my book better than like some of the other, Tarot 101 books, but it pairs well with my friend Melissa Sanova's Kitchen Table Tarot, where she guides you through her thoughts of the cards at that time. Again, she wishes she had done some stuff differently. I'm trying to figure out how to decouple the binary and a lot of the colonialization stuff out of the deck. Like right now, I'm trying, I don't know if this is going to be a deck or if this is ever going to get published, but I want to work on how to make tarot same structure, recognizable as tarot, but remove the gender, because I've seen people are like, this is the first gender removal deck, but they keep the fucking, pardon my French, they keep the names like the High Priestess or the Empress. And I'm like, no, the titles make it gendered.
It's Priestess. It is royal. It is Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just lost my screen for a moment.
Oh
But
no.
yeah.
I still see you.
I see you now. Yeah,
okay.
It went tiny. But
does that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. It's like, how can I, what are the labels? What are 78 labels we can use?
Hanged one instead of hanged man.
The hanged one. I love Joanna Powell's Colbert's Gaian tarot for instead of judgment, it's awakening. Granted, that's kind of, it's also decoupling maybe the Christian Catholic, stuff, subcultures into that to make it a truly, I don't want to say oracle-fied because I have a lot of oracles, but I don't play with them much. But I want to see what we can do when we just create these 78 energies. Yeah. Rather than you have to have the traditional American nuclear family of, husband, wife, boy, girl. I'm like, yeah, I don't have kids. I have cats. And I have a wife.
I don't either. And I have no interest in upholding heterosexual normativity.
Yeah, cis has, or cis het normativity has purpose. I get it. However, even in that, people are weird. Everybody's weird.
We are a lovely wide variety. And
yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we've talked a lot about your process and what you and the games chapter that might end up becoming its own thing in the future and such. Another conversation that's been happening a lot within the tarot community, and I have been listening very closely because I have strong feelings. I have strong feelings about AI in terms of giving credit where credit is due and and if these AI image generators are going to be pulling from all of these different existent artists that are, many of whom are still here, how to get them the money that they are due from this, because I'm an artist, so that's important to me. And I have heard a wide spectrum of opinions on using AI for writing, using AI for illustrating, and as both a writer and an illustrator and one who gets paid for these things as well, like your livelihood is affected by all of this. Where do you fall within the spectrum of AI? I actually don't want to say controversy, because that keeps it in a negative place. And I don't think
it's a new dawn is what I like.
It's a new dawn. Yeah. Where do you sit with the AI conversation?
Well, I love that you call it a spectrum, a spectrum rather than like the, good versus bad, because everybody, again, I think people, when we're faced with new things, we do take it to those extremes, the very furthest corners. I mean, it could even be a rectangle where, it's, but we stand at the lines, we're like, yay or nay, and then we forget about everything else. And now tarot has seen this, the community has seen this in the past. We've seen it with photography, or even just the art world. Remember, everybody used to it has to be oils, or it has to be watercolors, it has to be done with the hand.
Yeah, and photography is no good. You have to use film, and then I hadn't thought about that.
So photography comes in, and and it became an art form, and all the painters and the the illustrators that do beautiful art, and people are like, fuck this. This is not art. And yet today, now we have photography as an art, 100 years later or something, but it and the computer art, when computer generated art came out, doing digital, people are like, fuck this isn't art, it's soulless, it's done by a computer. But a person's hand is doing it. And yet we have Shiro Marchetti, who does amazing tarot decks via computer generated, like Photoshop or other things. And he's now animating decks. Like, you get a living, video kind of deck.
So cool.
So he's pushing the bounds of the technology, right? And so I see AI as this next kind of evolution. And it always hits the creative things because people like entertainment. Or porn, right? Or cats.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the internet, God, the internet, when the internet came out, it was great. You can share ideas, you can learn, you can create, blogs, you can, or, back then we called them diaries, online journals.
Live journals.
And yeah, then we had live journal, and now we have cats, memes, porn, and movies, I'm not just trying to make it sound so negative, but again, it's a tool. Just like any tool, you're going to have those really divisive sides first. For me, I kind of stand in that middle where I'm looking around. I'm reading things. I'm trying to understand it. I haven't really played with it a whole lot, I admit. Yeah, I've done some image stuff like Wombo remember when Wombo was huge, and Jamie Sawyer and Benabel Lynn were, making, funky decks just to play with that tool to see. And some of it's cool, but it's so it plateaued in a way where everything looks so samey now because there is either no inputs being given in. But the thing is, it's like with humans, we develop our art techniques, not through as a child in 1 year, but throughout a lifetime. But I'm wondering, because I don't know how they teach, the AI, to me, it would be like, wouldn't it be better to have like an instructor go up and say, this is how you draw a person? And then, let the AI witness it, learn that. However, again, I don't know. Right now it seems like it's text and image based, but what if we can feed it actual, like, Kate, you teach it how to put on makeup, like you taught me so long ago, what looks better on screen versus what looks better in front of a personal classroom. That's the stuff I kind of hope that maybe AI gets to learn from, because that's how we learn from. We do learn from
that. I hear that. I wonder about the compensation side of it, because as an artist myself for so long, the piece that made me go, oh, I did not realize this AI image thing that I have been playing with is not only not yet giving money to the artists from whom they have learned from, but it is also saying that what I create is now theirs and not mine. And I'm like, oh, no. And that was just one. And I know there are tons of them out there. So this is, no blanket statements here. Yeah. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how retribution ends up playing out, because everybody deserves a living wage and everybody deserves to be credited for their work. And
I get that. Credit where credit's due is huge in my world.
Yeah.
I have no idea. As far as financial compensation or recompensation, and all that, I have no idea. I barely know how much I should charge for my own readings sometimes, or my own stuff, because I'm just like, I want to help people. When I do mentoring with folks, I really have a hard time figuring out how much is fair and equitable for both sides, especially if somebody does have a restricted or a box around their finances. Yeah, a budget. Thank you. That word. Hey,
that word.
I was a writer. Yeah, no.
Hey,
I don't talk well sometimes.
This is why it's a collaborative thing. It's like,
words are hard, okay? Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
But yeah, I don't know about that, because that is, again, like going to like the United States government and shit, it's like, if you ask me, is our government broken? Yes. How would I fix it? I have no fucking clue, because it's such a bigger piece of, so much systemic greed, systemic collaboration and stuff, that I'm just like, I don't know where I would begin to untangle it. I do know that the other day on Mastodon, because I am there.
Me
Very
too
I
now.
Yay, very limited posting
Yay!
still, but I am there. Somebody Philip W, FILIPW at Mastodon XYZ came out with a post that said, important info if you have a blog, content, website, etc., which you would not want to be used by OpenAI for data vacuuming. And then they said, add this code to your robots.txt. Again, this is kind of geeky stuff. Or block, if you know how to block IPs, IP addresses. He gives a range of what you can block, and that will help artists, writers, or creatives, or anybody, anybody really, even other companies, kind of, push themselves away from getting AI scraped. I'm just now, this is a lot of the stuff I know is more based on that art portion. I'm still trying to learn how it's affecting me as an author, because the first time I ever had a chat with ChatGPT, I asked, hey, can you give me a tarot reading? And it said, this is what tarot is. And yes, I can. I'm like, great. Tell me how my day's going to go. And it said, oh, I can't give you a reading. So the way I feel like, number one, the way you input your data has to be like paragraph driven, like really clear for it to actually understand what you want. And B, it's almost like it's got short-term memory loss, where with people that have that unfortunate thing where you ask them a question and it's right then and there. But let's say somebody distracts that, that person, and they look away, talk to somebody else, come back, and they don't know you. So you ask them, hey, you promised to give me a reading. And and they're like, what do you mean? I can't.
What am I reading?
Yeah, what am I reading? So it's really kind of weirdly fractured. And if I've read some stuff from AI, because I am an editor, and you can kind of tell. You can kind of tell what's going on, because sometimes it's word salad. It doesn't make sense, or it's flat out lies, especially if, you start with tarot as your basis and a group collective of meanings, and it comes up with some weird shit. You're like, ooh, that's AI, or if it doesn't have a bibliography, or if the bibliography references the AI makes are fake. So I don't think it's anywhere near, going to take anything over just yet. I know you should try and get in contact with Shiro, because he's done some stuff with AI that makes him understand it.
Jenna Matlin has done, and she has some really strong opinions. And I first started thinking about it because of one of the classes I took with Benabel. I actually can't remember if it was at Newts or StarCon.
Oh God.
Because it was she had been in a meeting where she and another group of lawyers were like looking at the intellectual property rights regarding all of it, and nothing, what I remember is nothing conclusive had been decided upon then in terms of how things would go, and a lot of it would be like, what's going to happen with the first lawsuits? And
well, and some of them have changed. Some of them have gone away from owning, the rights to your images and stuff. They're like, well, you are the creator. You can do this. I know that like Kickstarter, since Kickstarter's big in our world to back, cool indie decks, or even some mass produced stuff, like the 3 tiny books by this ball here are the Lo Scarabeo tarot series. They kickstarted those books because as a small, it's funny, we think a lot of like Llewellyn and Lo Scarabeo, these 100, 200 person companies, these bigger companies. Last I heard, Lo Scarabeo had 10 employees. Yeah, and Llewellyn has between 40 and 80. So they're not these huge conglomerate companies, not like, I'm not going to use Simon and Schuster since they just got bought out. And I've got opinions. I've got negative opinions on where the publishing houses are going and the company that's buying most of them, because it's not good. They, the industry is getting hard because they're consolidating, and then like this company KKW, they're not a publishing house. They are a company with a lot of money, and they buy out a lot of other companies, and then within 5 to 10 years those companies die. They recently bought Libby, aka or Overdrive, aka Libby. So I've seen some changes to libraries that use Overdrive. You know, you can't suggest books anymore. You can't, they won't pop up other suggestions anymore. So there's this big fear right now that Overdrive, aka Libby, you know, checking out ebooks, which are free from your libraries, which you can request Tarot Inspired Life to your library for purchase, either print or digitally.
Yes, that is one of the best ways to help out small authors and such that so many people forget about. Just go to your library and ask and request it. Like, request the ebook, request the physical book. Like, yes,
I am huge in the
email them.
I love libraries. I mean, my ebook, I don't buy a lot of fiction anymore. I check them out from the libraries.
Yeah, I mean, you have a dust allergy. That makes sense.
Yeah, well, it's also just, you know, easier when you just want to stay home sometimes. It's like, I want a new book, but I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to go buy it. What? Even if it's online. Yeah. But, you know, again, you know, I want to support these systems, and I want to support the digital, because the digital is also really good for hard of hearing folks, or deaf, or even blind folks, you know, where they are still one of the more accessible places. Yeah, they are truly accessible for everyone. And if those systems go away, even the digital systems, you know, that removes a lot of accessibility. Yeah. And the wage gap divide, you know, for people. So yeah.
Well, as we come to the end of our hour, is there anything that you want to particularly lift up about upcoming projects, you've talked about the thing with Llewellyn that doesn't have an end date yet, but are you teaching anything? Are you going to be at any of the upcoming tarot conferences that are happening? Where will people find next steps with you?
Well, my next steps are my allergist. No,
that's very good. Yes, because the next time maybe you will be joining me in the backyard when it will not turn you into a teary mess.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, all the sniffles. No, you can find me on, I have a couple of different websites. I have 3 of them. Shadesofmaybe.com is where you can find a publications list of everything I've done. I know I need to update it with the current Cartomancer issues. I'm also the associate editor of the Cartomancer magazine. We are always looking for new articles, reviews, you know, open ideas on cartomancy, not just tarot. We do Lenormand, we do Oracle, anything that, you know, you can play with a card, you know, we will take it. And we are currently working on autumn, aka or fall's issue for 2023. Summer just got out in the mail, so if you're a subscriber, you will be getting it soon. We have people.
I got my copy.
Yay! Yeah, Kate wrote something for
us. It's true.
It was a wonderful article. I'm not even going to say anything about it, because if you love Kate and you like to, you know, want to read her stuff, go buy the summer issue of the Cartomancer. No. I'm also 1/3 of Card Slingers Coast to Coast, the podcast that comes out every 2nd and 4th Fridays of each month. My wife, Kendra, is our producer. And so she's actually in the background in her office producing tomorrow's episode. And I can't remember what it is.
Thank you, Kendra.
I'll let her know. So yeah, it's cardslingers.cc.podbean.com. It's an open platform, but you can find it on any of your podcatchers. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple. I believe we're also on Amazon. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun because we get down and dirty. It's a not safe for kids thing because we do cuss. We definitely have opines and we have a lot of fun. It's kind of like, hanging out with Kate here. We get to talk whatever comes up. Let's see here. The latest deck that I did for Lo Scarabeo is the Egyptian Art Nouveau deck. And that has had a July release, but I don't think Llewellyn's got it in because I purchased a copy for myself and I haven't gotten it from them. But that was an interesting one to play with because I didn't get to see any images. And so Kate's like, what the fuck? It's fun.
That is a lot of trusting your intuition.
What I did was, a lot of decks, they start with describing the image or talking about the story, right? I wrote devotions because the 22 cards seemed to be more of the major players. Like I got a list of, who what gods were in the majors, type of thing. So I was able, I got to see them. I got to see maybe one or two cards to kind of get an idea of what the art style was going to be like. But in the minors, I didn't, you don't, when you don't have the images, you can't really do something justice. It's gonna be, oh look, these things don't line up. So I did devotionals. I decided to do kind of prayers to the gods or prayers to the themes of the tarot card. I'm no ancient Egyptian major anthropologist or anything, but that's hopefully it's coming out. Hopefully, I know Amazon's got it listed, and I'm pretty sure probably Europe's got it, but that came out. Again, I'm working on a deck from Llewellyn because they want me to do a deck before submitting any more drafts, even though I've got a whole nother book that's draft is in first, crappy first thing. And I won't be sending them that. I tend to revise before I send a crappy first draft because oh god, they get messy. But you can also find me at tarotinspiredlife.com. That's my personal that's the book's website.
And through tarotinspiredlife.com, can they purchase a book there and like bookshop it give you a little like kickback sort of thing?
I've never thought about that. I will have to figure out how to do that. But no, right now I just have it going to Powell's or Llewellyn or the big, A to Z store, because
I definitely have Tarot Inspired Life on Group Tarot's
nice.
bookshop. And yes, it is listed in under my favorites books. I have it by categories, and I will show you how to do that because it is so easy.
Again, going along with that, I also want to put all the classes that I made for the book up, like again, I don't even know how much. I was thinking 25 people are like 50. So again, I don't know how much, but they're going to be just like modularity style things where I like maybe do my script from like the live classes I've done, except on the camera here, and then have the handouts and the workouts and the worksheets. Hey,
it is a workout for your intuition. Like, yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have so much fun because I'm developing new classes. And I taught one of my new classes at last year's Northwest Tarot Symposium, Newts, but I'm not teaching this year. I usually try and take every other year off because I want to give new instructors, or new tarologists the right to try and teach to see if they want to be in this teaching game. Because that's what happened to me. I got it. And then suddenly 10 years later, 12 years later, got a book and I do stuff. But so I will be at Newts in person in Portland this year. And we have moved to a whole new hotel.
Right. And it's going to be down at near the Lloyd Center.
Yes. It's going to be near the convention. It's going to be the Doubletree Hotel by the convention center. So access from TriMet, access from I want to say BART, but that's it's the Max. It's the Max.
It's right by the Max. It's right by the right off of, I want to say, the number 8 and the number 15 buses also, because I do a lot of TriMetting. But it's like a couple blocks away from the red, blue, green line.
The Max. So I hope to see a lot of people there if there are a lot of group tarot Portlanders. come say hi to me. And you can always reach me at, I've got contact forms on all my sites, so you can easily email me and say, hey.
Absolutely. And I will make sure that I put all of those links
The details.
down in the details box. I would like to say that I will. Exactly. I would like to say that I will get it all up and done sometime today, but life has been interesting for me lately, so it will happen. That awesome. I will promise you, it will happen. And another way that, and I'm totally tossing this out here as an idea, a first-time invitation. Jaymi we have not talked about this before, but it is coming up in a moment. So in October, I am co-facilitating a writers and creatives retreat down in New Mexico. And a lot of it was interesting because a lot of the exercises that you have in Tarot Inspired Life are things that I had done in, similar but different formats as a performer through the years. And so if you are, and we have blocks of time set within the schedule for classes and things. And at this point, either myself, Zephyr, or Abigail with Rio Abajos Rio, we're going to be doing all of the classes for it. But it doesn't actually have to be that way because we have technology. Yes. So, and we have budget for paying teachers well. Oh. So if you maybe you might want to think about whether or not you wanted to teach a virtual class one of the days during the Writers and Creatives workshop.
I might just be interested in that offer. We'll discuss things, but yeah, I would, no, seriously, I would love to help anybody get published, anybody, be here, writing, even just writing a first draft, because putting the button chair, getting this out on the page in the, either the best way, the shittiest way, however you want it to look at it, is so hard. I'm trying to write fall's endnote for the Cartomancer, and I'm like, this sucks. So yes, even professionals have that
at that time.
Have to have the vibe. I'm just like, Jesus, what the fuck is, this, that's what goes on in my head. I'm just like, this is stupid, this is dumb. So yeah, I would love to help your attendees find their dark places and then turn those into celebrated successes.
Delightful. Well, friends, whether you are new or old to this channel, you are most welcome. Like, subscribe, do all of those things. They help all of the ways. And I do lives with writers and creators of the tarot world on the 10th of the month at 11 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. So I hope to see you all here next month. And if you want to be able to ask questions and things of that nature, you can always join my Patreon or Group Tarot's email list. Next month, I will be chatting with Christine Cunningham Ashworth about the book about her brother.
She's awesome. You all are gonna love her. She's one of my favorite tarot family friends. So yay!
I'm so grateful that I met all of y'all through going to the Northwest Tarot Symposium that first time, because you're some of my favoriteest peoples. And thank you for joining and talking about your utterly fantastic book, Tarot Inspired Life. Pick up a copy of your own or request it from your local library, and we will see you back